We're on page 423.
We're talking about
V'yesh
holding the
omrim.
tzitzit in the hands.
We were talking about whether you
Between
hold
the
all
fingers.
4 tzitzit or just 2 tzitzit. V'yesh omrim, and some say she'af iter yad yamin, that even a person who is a lefty, meaning he's left-handed,
Like me.
yuchaz tzitziot biyad smol shel kol adam, that they should hold their tzitzit in the left hand, which is the left to everybody. Meaning, even though his left hand is really his right hand in terms of strength, he should use his left hand like everybody else.
It's funny that with tefillin, we switch the lefties.
So you should know there are Mekubalim who say that a lefty should wear tefillin on both hands.
On both.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody do this. It seems to be a halakha that doesn't follow that opinion. The Ben Ish Chai records it, and if I'm not mistaken, he mentions that at the end of tefillah, the left-handed person should put his tefillin on his right hand, just to fulfill that
Maybe
opinion.
It'll have
it's
to
for
be a
people
different
who are
one.
ambidextrous.
Yeah,
Put a
different
lefty on a
setup,
right
correct.
one, yeah.
That's not, don't learn from me how
No,
I am,
maybe
just
it's for
trying.
people who are ambidextrous. You know, who can use either hand, and then they
But
put
that's
them
already
on
a
both.
complicated question, usually.
Yeah.
How do you determine then what makes them left-handed or
You
right-handed?
put them on both hands, and both arms.
The
and
problem is,
then-
can you wear tefillin on both hands at the same time? These are interesting halakhic questions
Yeah,
that come up.
right.
Is that considered adding to a mitzvah in a way that's prohibited?
Yeah. Actually, I know a lot of left-handed Jews who would never. I mean, I've never seen a left-handed Jew place tefillin on the left side on the left arm.
You've never seen it?
No, they
You're
always
sitting
do it
next
on
to
the,
somebody.
they always do it on the right side.
Correct.
no.
Meaning left, he's right. What he's saying is that
Yeah.
left-handed people switch the side they
Yeah,
put on.
yeah.
I've
Correct,
never
you're right,
seen
correct,
it
correct.
Is
any other
tefillin
way.
the same? It's the same ball, or it's different for right and for left?
Well, you have to wrap it a little
It's
differently.
shaped differently, meaning you'd have to have a tefillin that wraps the other direction.
So
Yeah.
you have to buy a different set.
You technically could maybe try to make one work. It's the question how you would do it,
Doesn't
but
have tried.
it doesn't. Right? The worst
Or
thing
not.
is when a person who's left-handed doesn't have their tefillin and they have to borrow somebody's tefillin and they're
Yeah,
borrowing
then
a
it's
right-handed
wrong,
tefillin and it's a
right.
disaster. It goes all the way too. When a right-handed person
Happened
tries to
to me in
borrow
New
a
York.
left-handed person's tefillin,
So you put on your right or your left?
Well, the left person was on the right arm.
Oh,
Yeah, you put it on the opposite arm.
oh, so not all guys have it on the same arm.
No,
there's two different
No.
understandings here. Some say you're holding your tzitzit in the hand that has tefillin on it. And then you take that hand and put it on your heart. So that's why this opinion says, if your one's left-handed and he's wearing tefillin in his right arm, he should hold his tzitzit in that hand. It seems like from Rav Chaim Vital, the way he reads it according to Kabbalah, it has nothing to do with
where
tefillin. It has to do with your heart. Your heart
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a left-handed person's heart is in the
Right.
same place, and therefore you still use the left hand in front of one's heart. And not according to that understanding.
That makes more sense.
The
really.
bottom line is:
Yeah.
is it a left hand thing with the heart, or is it a right hand because of tefillin?
Yeah.
This is where it comes to, and this is the argument. Uvekriyat Shema shel Arvit, and in the Kriyat Shema in the evening, nahagu shelo lechos tzitziot beyad kalan. The custom is not to hold our tzitziot at all. V'chein shelo lenashkan, and also not to kiss them. Mipnei shehalayla eno zman tzitzit, because nighttime is not a time of tzitzit.
Except Kippur.
Why?
Yom Kippur we don't.
We wrap ourselves in tzitzit, but if you go to an Ashkenazi synagogue in Arvit, many times the Chazan wears tzitzit. That which we wear tzitzit at night doesn't mean that it's obligatory. It's because it's protocol. Yom Kippur we wear tzitzit. It's
Yeah.
part of the clothing that we wear.
Okay, but do we kiss the tzitzit?
That's a great question. This is a great question. It's one that I never asked Harav Peretz, but I did my own research back in the day before I met Harav Peretz on this question. And I don't know if you've ever seen me in the Beit Knesset, but actually, it's on camera. But it's on camera. It's okay, but it's okay to be on camera. I hold my tzitziot during Shema. I don't kiss them. The main reason is I don't want to make a tayaram inside of a community doing something that everybody else doesn't do. The reason we don't wear our tzitziot at night is because nighttime is not a time in which you're obligated in tzitzit, according to one opinion. There's another opinion there.
Because we
Rabbi
say
Akiva Eger mentions a situation in which you're praying Arvit early. How many people here pray Arvit? Sometimes people pray Arvit before sunset. In the winter, in the summer, on a Shabbat. Shabbat's very late. So they make a set time for tefillah. Sometimes you leave the Beit Knesset and the sun is just setting then.
Mhm.
You said nighttime Shema in the daytime.
Yeah.
So why would you not hold your tzitzit there? Also, I believe that Budraham mentions I once was in the back of a Dad Yishur and I saw an Abu Raham there. During Arvit, and I already prayed Arvit, so I sat down to study some Abu Raham. And I believe Rabbi David Abu Raham writes, don't hold me, I don't own my own copy, I lost it when I shipped my books from Israel. Rabbi David Abu Raham writes in his Minhagim that looking at tzitziot has to do with being able to see them. What's the point of looking at tzitziot when you can't see them? Today, I might be quoting him wrong, so don't hold me to it. But today, when you have lights, you can see your tzitziot. Why not look at your tzitziot? There's nothing wrong with looking at your tzitziot tonight. They're just not accustomed to do so. So I'm not trying to start a new custom, but if you have tzitziot and you're anyways wearing them, and why not look at them? What can happen to you from doing that?
You lose your place.
Okay, very good. Oh, you know, some people say that it's a problem to shoot tzitziot in the first place because it's distracting. It's this, that, you're looking, it's hard. Okay, I understand that.
So one of the hard things is I was trying to do what you said about holding the tzitziot next to your heart.
Your arm starts to
And
hurt,
when
right?
you're used to not doing it, it takes a whole world view to change it. Like
You just put it on your lap, right?
Yeah, well then, yeah, either that or you're holding it, but you're not putting it next to your heart. And when you do it, then you have to do it consciously, and it takes energy away from reading the Shema.
I once saw a man that during the blessings of Shema, he was like, he forgot to gather up his tzitziot. So he, you know what many people do, they start to slow down their ahavat olam because they have to get in all their the parents came over and said, don't hold your tzitziot, stop. Pray like a human being. That's all it's going to happen. Today you didn't hold your tzitziot. What's the big deal? I mean, the level of priority is tefillah is more important than holding my tzitziot. Holding tzitziot is an added benefit, but if I'm going to ruin my tefillah because I'm holding my tzitziot, so you're right. In that situation, priorities would be to pray properly as opposed to holding my tzitziot.
How can you do Arvit before sundown?
Oh. How can we do everything before sundown? We do it all the time.
On summer, right?
Some people do it every day.
Well, before sunset,
Or
not before it gets dark, but before sunset.
Correct.
When do you
Why?
when do you
I
do
thought it
it?
was-
When do you do Mari before sunset?
Friday evenings.
Well, I know in the summer.
Zevkan Bali from Mishnah Berurah, Volume 2, please.
Sure.
It's a very good question. Here. My answer is the following. מי שהתפלל תפילת המנחה, אני לא עזב מנחה, he who prays מנחה, לאחר 6 שעות מחצה ולמעלה, after 6.5 hours to the day and up, 6.5 halachic hours, this is sometime after midday, alright? Yatsa, he fulfilled his obligation, meaning it was in the time that he's allowed to pray mincha. V'ikal zmana, but the proper time, the main time once the Shema is a little bit later. Mitesha sha'ot u'mechza. From 9.5 hours and on. Not from 6.5, but from 9.5. Meaning 3 hours later is when you really should be praying mincha. Ad halayla l'rabanan. Our rabbis say you could pray mincha until nightfall. Ul Rabbi Yehuda ad pelag ha-mincha. According to Rabbi Yehuda, there's an argument in the Talmud. Those of you who studied Masechet Brachot, it's one of the earliest arguments we have in the Talmud. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you can't pray Arvit until sunset. That's already too late. You can only pray Arvit until this time, which is called Pelag ha-mincha, which means like the cutoff for mincha. Maybe someone could take out their phone. Do you have internet on your phone? Go to our shul's website, and you'll tell me the times. We'll do this today.
Doesn't mincha have to be done before sunset?
According to the rabbis, there's an argument between all the rabbis and Rabbi Yehuda.
KSH.org.
Yeah, there's a tab there that says Zmanim. You see that on the left side?
KSH. Not AA. KSH.
No, kshsd.org.
SD.org. Okay. And let's see, we're looking for handling.
Click Zmanim on the left side. You see Zmanim?
Samanim, yes. So what are we looking for?
Okay, so tell me when does midday today?
Alot HaShamayim.
No, Chatzot. It's gonna say.
That's here.
Oh, thank you. Well, All right. Chatzot midday is 11:54. Mincha Gedola is at 12:19. That's the earliest time you could pray mincha.
That's
Yeah,
early.
it's early, yeah.
Yeah.
Plag mincha is at 3:52. So Rabbi Yehuda says that you could pray mincha up until 3:52. That's when the night begins. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, you can pray mincha until 3:52. Correct?
Then
After that is time for Arvit.
It's almost an hour before sunset.
The sunset is at 4:55 with Tzedek Kochavim at 5:35. So the rabbis hold you can pray mincha until 4:55, but you can't pray Arvit until 5:35.
It's dark.
So for Rabbi Yehuda, right away at Plag Mincha, you can pray Arvit time. I mean, can you pray Arvit according to Rabbi Yehuda exactly after sunset? Yes. According to the rabbis, can you pray Mincha up until sunset? Yes. Can you pray Arvit right after sunset? No, not according to the rabbis. According to the rabbis, you have to wait until 5:35 with Tzedek Kochavim.
But you said once was that without a minyan. With a minyan you could.
So here we're talking about it correct. Vasikna says Maran, what is the conclusion of this halakha? Da'avad kamar avad, u'da'avad kamar avad. Whichever opinion you want to follow, you can follow. There's no right or wrong opinion here. We
You mean
can't
on
prove.
any given day you could change opinions.
He's saying you should choose one, but I guess you could change opinions too. V'hu sheyaseh- oh, right, sorry. V'hu sheyaseh lo k'chad minayu, as long as you stick to one of them. You can decide, are you a Rabbanan kind of guy? Or are you a Rabbi Yehuda kind of guy? Or a gal. Shim oseh k'Rabbanan, u'tpalei mincha ad halayla, that if you follow the rabbis, and you pray mincha up until sunset, meaning you hold, I can pray until 4:55 today mincha. Shuv eino chod panei arvit miplag mincha u'lamana. You can't pray Arvit early. You have to wait until 3 stars come out to pray Arvit at 5:35. V'im oseh k'Rabbi Yehuda, and if you follow Rabbi Yehuda, u'mitpalel Arvit miplag mincha u'lamana, and you pray Arvit from 3:52 and on, meaning you pray early Arvit. אין להתפלל תפילת ערבית קודם שקיעת החמה. צריך את זה של מנחה באותה שעה. You can't pray mincha and then right away do Arvit. You can't do both. You can't follow the rabbis from mincha, meaning right until sunset. This is what every synagogue in the world does
Yeah,
today.
it does it.
They follow mincha right before sunset, and why do they pray Arvit right after sunset?
Right.
Because we're now following Rabbi Yehuda, who says it's late enough to do
But in a
Arvit.
lot of places to make
It's just so
a
that
separation
you can have a
by
minyan.
learning like a small piece of,
Why do they do that?
so that they separate mincha mariv.
ועכשיו, nowadays, שנהגו להתפלל תפילת מנחה עד הלילה, the custom is to pray מנחה until the evening, אין להתפלל תפילת ערבית קודם שקיעת החמה, you cannot pray ערבית earlier than that, ואם בדיעבד תפילת תפילת ערבית מפלג מנחה למעלה, יצא, ובשעת הדחק יכול להתפלל תפילת ערבית מפלג מנחה למעלה, says Maran at the end of the day, you push me up against the wall, you could follow both opinions on the same day. I mean, you could do mincha like the rabbis, and arvit like Rabbi Yehuda. It's not the way he likes it, and you'll see this in Maran. Maran says here in the laws of arvit, Zman kriyat shema b'layla mishai yitzat shlosh krovim ktanim. The time to pray Arvit is like the rabbis, not at sunset, but at nightfall. 3 stars come out at 5:35. V'im hu yom mu'una, sorry, okay. Then it says, V'im kara kodem leken, and if you read Shema earlier than that time, because you were praying, or chozer v'koel tabla brachot, you repeat Shema later again, like we do here in the winter. V'im hatzibur makdimim likrot kriyat shema b'bod yom. And if the community has a custom that they pray Arvit early, during the daytime, meaning it's nighttime according to Rabbi Yehuda, but it's daytime in reality. You read Shema and you bless with them, you do normal Ma'ariv with them. When it comes time for the real nighttime, you can't get Shema b'brachot, you repeat Shema again a second time. Even though you would like to pray at the right time, it's better for you to pray with the community than to pray at the later time. Says the Rama Umihu, but לא יחזור ויתפלל בלילה אף על פי שהציבור מקדים הרבה לפני הלילה. So a person can repeat Shema, but they're not allowed to repeat Amidah. Why? אלא אם כן הוא רגיל בשאר פשוט וחסידות, unless he's known to be a very pious person, who's very particular with mitzvot. But it's time to show off like I'm holier than the community is not a proper thing to do. דאז לא מתחזק יורא שיחזור ויתפלל, because if a person's like the greatest tzaddik in town, so nobody's going to look at him, he's trying to show off. He's the greatest tzaddik in town. You, me, who's not the greatest tzaddik in town, You don't show off. It's not, the community prayed. They had who to rely on. Don't try to be holier than they are. Unfortunately, many people try to flip this around and say, see, if the community is going to pray at 11:30 in the morning, you should pray with them because it's better to pray with the community than to pray at the right time. That's not what Maran says. Maran doesn't say that communal prayer is better than praying at the right time. Maran says that communal prayer in a time which is accepted by certain halachic authorities is better than praying later alone at a time which is accepted by other halachic authorities. I mean, if you have a halachic authority who to rely on, fine. But it's time to pray 11:30 shachrit is not a halachic opinion to rely on. Nobody has a halachic opinion which they can rely on then. And therefore, the custom on the street today is they try to at least push off mincha, arvit, until after sunset. So they pray mincha, let's say sunset was at, what is it, 4, I'm going to make it up, 4:35? Let's say they prayed at 4, and they finished mincha at 4:20. They'll at least try to say the Dvar Torah until 4:35 when they can pray arvit after sunset. Some communities, I have to say, I know I'm on camera, Bet Jacob, for example, has a late minyan at 9:45 or something like that.
Really?
Late minyan for those. I guess it's for those who
It's
come late from work.
practical, it's practical.
I guess they have 2 arvits though. They have one early one and a late one. So essentially, what I've seen some rabbis there do, those who are Tamid Chachamim, I saw that they pray mincha, they leave and they come back for the later arvit. That's the way we did it in Yerushalayim. But it's, to my knowledge, the only community in San Diego that has that option. And there's nothing wrong with following a community that does both. You're basically we're dancing on both sides of the fence. When I asked our parents about this, when did it bother me the most? Was by Sfirat HaOmer. In the summer, when we count Sfirat HaOmer, I'm essentially counting tomorrow before the time. Now, the community has on who to rely, but I'm very particular with the timing of halakha. And I asked I always lead the Birkat Omer. I feel like I'm doing something wrong by counting beforehand. And the Beret said, you're right, you should be able to count later. But because the community, this is where we pray, he says, you're the rabbi of the community. You can't tell your community to do one thing and you're going to start dancing around doing another thing. You're going to make a bracha, and that's what's the proper thing to do. And this is a very important approach in general. I try my hardest that my community should live up to halachic standards, and we do. Here in our community, I don't even have any questions. For me, it's always not offensive. It turns me off a little bit when I see a spiritual leader who won't take responsibility for the spirituality of his community. Meaning, I do my own rabbi thing, and you guys do peasant halachot. It's not the way that's supposed to work. And this manifests itself in many ways. I mean, people in my community keep kashrut. I'll eat at anybody's house. I'll have it. And this is because in my world there is no kashrut that I keep versus kashrut that my community keeps. But we are a community. We keep kashrut together. And I trust the people in my community that even if sometimes they don't do everything the way I would do it, they won't put me on the spot. But it's a trust relationship you have with your community. And I'm sure there are people in communities where the community doesn't trust the rabbi, and the rabbi doesn't trust the community. So I feel myself blessed. But this kind of thing is, we do this, every community in the world that I'm familiar with does this on a weekly basis. If it's not all year long, it's at least during the summer. And there's some places where you have no choice. I was in Seattle, Washington. Shabbat ends at 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
You know what that means?
Been
That
there, done
means we used to pray mincha, listen, at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
It wasn't sunset yet. So think on Friday night, you're going to wait for the community's going to come pray Kabbalah Shabbat at 10? Yeah, people have children, they have a wife, they have a home, they have to have a Shabbat meal. So obviously, halakha allows for us to be able to pray earlier in the day.
Yeah.
That's what they do. If I remember correctly, that's what they do. Nobody's waiting until 11 o'clock. But you do Havdalah on a Motzei Shabbat at 11:30.
Right.
And the joke was like, there's no pizza store open then. It's kind of like, there's nowhere to go. Saturday night, it's already tomorrow morning. And I have a lot of respect for the Jews who keep Shabbat. So it's hard to keep Shabbat when it lasts till 6, 7, 8 for some people. But when it lasts till 11:30 and they're still doing it, Hashem should give them blessings for that.
Well, one of the differences I find being in this particular community is that rather than forcing people to hold to a standard that they don't necessarily understand, the goal is more to educate people to know what their options and have a higher level of knowledge of what they're doing and choosing what they're going to do within that.
Correct. This is going to be an achad, by the way, to hear this. You should know. Somebody asked me, what's the agenda of the community? I said, yeah, every community has an agenda. You can't lie. Everybody has an agenda. Some people say, oh, you're adding... Someone called my wife. You should live in a Hasidic journal of her school last year, 2 years ago. Last year. Said, oh, we're interviewing all the students who are out in the world doing kiruv. So can you speak to us about kiruv? So my wife's whole response to them was she doesn't do kiruv. She doesn't do this thing. She doesn't come and nobody's her project and she's not trying to make anybody anything. And they published her whole article and cut out anything that she mentioned about not using this word kiruv. So they edited what she said to take about. So and they said Devorah Halevy is out in California doing kiruv because that's what they needed to fit in their agenda. The truth is, the agenda in our community for me is Jewish education. People want to make their own decisions. Listen. Sometimes I wish people would make decisions in one way. In my community, I want people to walk away feeling educated. I know halakha, I know Torah, I know the different viewpoints, I know where I fit in the Torah. Not everything has to be a communal standard. When you make a communal standard, that means what room is there for a person to be an individual? What room is there for a person to think in a certain way that's different? We try to present all the opinions, not just Ashkenazim and Sfaradim and Hasidim, and not. We try to present those that are more lenient, those that are more strict, those that are more Kabbalistic, those that are more rational. What I believe, I'm happy to share, but that's not the agenda. The point is not to make people like us. The point is to make people who are making educated decisions as Jews. And if that's however that plays itself out, that's the whole point. And if someone's picking up on that, that's the beauty. And I think that when you build a community of Torah scholars, regardless of where they stand on the ladder of observance, or you have a community of Torah scholars, and Torah scholars by their nature interact differently with each other than congregants do. The politics, they dissolve. The stigmas of, how does she cover her hair? What color talit does he wear? What? All those things go away because you've spent 4 years in the kollel realizing that the color of a talit is not even mentioned. I mean, it's not even a thing. So what are you getting all caught up about people? The kind of hair covering. You know how many opinions there are about head coverings already. So how can you judge a person based on a head covering? It's a silly thing. It's not halachic in nature. It's not Torah.
You don't get black market activity, I call it, where you have a public persona and then you go back and you're doing something else because you don't feel comfortable actually doing it.
And that's very special. And we're allowed to be proud about ourselves. There's not putting any other kind of community down. This is unique. We're building something unique, and Baruch Hashem,
you can take a breath of air.
If other people would do such a thing, they would find that their communities are also full of very beautiful people that just want to be together and learn together and grow together. Torah is the main thing. Learning Torah is the greatest thing.